to start. Today we are very happy to have Professor Chen, Ye-Hwa Chen, to be here giving us a talk on responsible conduct of research. Before the talk, I want to give you a little bit background of Professor Chen. Professor Chen received his bachelor degree from NTU, Department of Chemical Engineering. Then he received his PhD from Berkeley. Now he's a professor in Georgia Tech School of Mechanical Engineering. His research and teaching interests include research ethics, control of uncertain dynamical systems, constrained mechanical systems, and also intelligent systems. Today, Professor Chen is going to talk about a topic that I think is important for every one of us in this room, about responsible conduct research. So, without further delay, let's welcome the speaker.
Good afternoon. It's my great honor to be here. I'll be delivering my seminar in English. But before that, I'd like to speak a few Chinese. 各位午安。我想先告诉大家说，我也会讲中文。如果说等一下各位有问题不要客气，用英文问，用中文问，我都会听得懂。我知道这个seminar 这个 series 的这个传统是用英文，不过中文应该不是我们的障碍，语言应该不是我们的障碍。Okay, let's get started. Okay, my topic today is regarding responsible conduct of research. Okay, let me start with a quote from Einstein. Most people say that it is the intellect that makes a great scientist. They are wrong. It's character. Okay, it's character. Second quote is also from Einstein. Setting an example is not the main means of influencing another. It is the only means. Okay? With this, I'd like to start with a little bit background of the whole thing. How did this whole thing get started? The current United States government policy is this. There's an office called Office of Research Integrity under the Department of Health and Human Services. Okay? Sounds strange that this office is under a very special department, but there's a historical reason. Okay, but let's not get into that part. Basically, this office oversees the entire government's policy regarding research ethics. Now, this office has several functions. Among those which are related to our talk today include research ethics policy. They make the policy. And then they help the universities to implement these policies. They recommend some kind of mechanism so that universities know how to implement these policies. So under this policy and under this kind of a mechanism, here's what Georgia Tech has been doing. Okay? I mentioned Georgia Tech is because Georgia Tech is among the front runners on this research ethics establishment. So if you know what Georgia Tech does, you probably know, you have a good idea what the US status quo is like. All right. First of all, we have an office of the provost. Okay, it's like the vice president office. Okay, they are in charge of any formal investigation mechanism. Okay, if things broke up, you really have to put into a formal investigation. It's directly under this office. After that, besides that, we have some counseling mechanism. Counseling means some people have some concerns. Okay, things haven't gone to the last step yet. Just some kind of concerns. They can go to some office. For example, the Ombuds program. That's for those formal counseling for graduate students, undergraduate students, postdoc fellows, and even professors. If you have questions, you have concerns, go there. And we have another program that's for counseling for other research, other kinds of researchers. And then we have this ethic point. That's a website. This is for informal counseling. Okay, all those questions people can ask are anonymous. Okay, you don't have to identify yourself. They answer any questions. So there's a great flexibility, whatever one wants to ask. Okay, don't worry about that. And then after this kind of a counseling mechanism, we have an education mechanism. It's under this graduate research ethics program. Okay, this part is in charge of educating our students regarding research ethics. Okay, now let's talk just about this education mechanism. Okay, Georgia Tech has a policy, this academic policy. Okay, all PhD students, as long as they are going to work on projects from the National Science Foundation or National Institute of Health, are required to do two things in terms of education. One is to complete a web-based course, this one over here. The other one is in-person training, okay, in-house, meaning we have a class, just like this. As a classroom, students have to come and we discuss, okay, regarding research ethics. Okay, all PhD students are required to complete two things. By the way, okay, I forgot to mention in the beginning, I have delivered this kind of seminar several times in this trip, okay, to Taiwan, and in most of other places, I delivered this in Chinese, so I prepared my slides in Chinese. And then when I came over here, I thought maybe a good idea to blend my English slides and Chinese slides. So that's what it looks like. You can see some Chinese fonts in some places, okay? Some English and some Chinese, and I hope that either English or Chinese can be self-sufficient for the viewers to understand. Okay, so you see a lot of things like this. If you like English, just stay on English. You like Chinese, stay on Chinese. Okay, either one works. All right, so this is regarding our Georgia Tech policy. Under this policy, here comes the course. Remember that a classroom course I just mentioned? That course is called the Responsible Conduct of Research. The acronym is called RCR. Okay. First of all, what does that mean? If you feel that it sounds really awkward, responsible conduct research, that is because it is awkward. Okay, that's just a name people made up to try to incorporate a lot of different topics. First of all, definition. What does that mean by this? Okay, I'm adopting a definition from NIH, National Institute of Health. Okay, responsible conduct research is a practice of scientific investigation with integrity. It involves the awareness and application of established professional norms and ethical principles in the performance of all activities related to scientific research. Okay, that's a generic definition. So with regard to this definition, we come to several basic understandings of the characteristics of RCR. Okay, this is definition in Chinese. Okay, I just translated at my discretion. Okay, okay. So these are the basic characteristics of RCR. First of all, it is based on some professional norms. Professional norms refer to the norms established by some professional societies, such as the academic societies, American Institute of Physics, for example, journal, okay, those journals, the funding agencies are like a National Institute of Health and so on. Okay, those professional societies, they have a lot of rules and regulations, and we follow those things if you have to deal with those. Second, this RCR, if there's any theoretical basis, that'll be coming from ethical principles, which is a branch of philosophy. Okay, in philosophy, there's a subject called ethics. Okay, so we pick up some theories from there. For example, this utilitarianism is from a French philosopher Bentham. Okay, this deontology is from a German philosopher Kant, Immanuel Kant. This virtual ethics is from the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle. Stuff like this. Okay, that's our theoretical basis. And this is a course about ethics. In particular, this is a course about applied ethics. Therefore, it is not about law. We are not talking about law here. Nobody or no society in the academia are able to come up with some kind of a code, so everybody else is obligated to follow. Nobody can do that. Okay? The academia is like an anarchy. Okay? Everybody has his entire discretion. So this is not about law. We're not talking about law anymore. We're talking about above law. Law is the basic at the bottom of this entire ethics spectrum. Okay? We are talking about that. And this is not hard science. We don't have equations. You just plug in some parameters. You plug in initial conditions, you get the results out. And you can just follow the results, black and white, clearly distinguished. We don't have things like this. A lot of things we discuss, some kind of like a gray area, and you have to go through a lot of thinking, and maybe you don't even have a clear cut on exactly what to do. Okay, so these are the basic characteristics. So this is the Chinese translation of a previous slide. Okay, so that's what we are doing. We are doing right now. Next, when we teach a course, we have a bunch of topics to cover for the entire semester. Okay, these are topics: animal subject research, authorship and publication, collaborative research, conflicts of interest and commitment, data collection, management, ownership and sharing, human subject research, lab safety, peer review, research misconduct, responsibilities of mentors and trainees, science and engineering in society. Okay, and these are some other topics sometimes we cover if we have time. Dual use and export control. Okay. Now this slide is just I use my discretion to translate all these things into Chinese. Okay. Now each topic is worth maybe a week of discussions. Okay. It's not my intention to drag you into all this. Okay. My purpose today is to somehow take you for a quick ride. Just have a taste of what this course is like. Right now, this course is not taught in Taiwan and in most part of Asia. So most people don't have any idea what this course is like. In the US, this course is very, very young. Okay? In Georgia Tech, we have only taught this for like 4 years. Okay? My intention is to just give you a taste. So what I'm going to do is to just pick a couple topics. This one is called authorship. This one is called the research misconduct, to get into a little more. And with these two, and actually these two are the ones I consider will be most relevant to most of you, okay, regarding your research. You may have got some idea about what this RCR is like. Okay, so first of all, research misconduct. Sometimes some people call that as academic misconduct. Okay, let me start with a cartoon strip. Okay, it is not very clear, so let me just go ahead and read that for you. The first one says that we have 3 swans, 3 pigs, looking over across the fence. And the first one says, you know, I just read a book. Says, if you put a lot of monkeys in a room and give them the keyboards to type for infinite times, you can type as many times as you like. In probability, eventually there's going to be one monkey that comes up with the entire work of William Shakespeare. The entire work of William Shakespeare, okay, word by word. By probability, some monkey is going to get this eventually. Okay, this is called the infinite monkey theory. Okay, this one is for real. Okay, someone in mathematics actually proved it. It's an interesting one. Okay, okay. So fine. That's what the first peak said. And the second one said, okay. So what's that supposed to prove? The third one says that means the monkey plagiarizes. Okay, they know how to copy things. Okay, sounds awkward. We're pretty sure that monkeys do not study Shakespeare. Okay, but they come up with something identical to what Shakespeare did 400 years ago. So what's that supposed to be? So that brings up a question about the plagiarism. Okay, what does that mean? You have to give me a definition for me to use to identify if monkeys can plagiarize. Here's my second comic. We have a graduate student arguing with the professor. Apparently, the professor accused the student of plagiarizing. Okay, the student argues and says that, how can you accuse me of plagiarizing? My roommate gave me the whole permission to use his work without citing him. I don't even have to mention his name. Okay, and my roommate says, okay, I can just use his work without even citing him. So I did. You cannot accuse me of plagiarizing. So that brings up another issue also related to plagiarizing. Okay, is it okay if somebody says you can just go ahead and use my work? You don't have to quote me, you don't have to cite me. Is it okay? You can do that? Okay. Now these things are related to we call the research misconduct. The definition of research misconduct is from here. Research misconduct means fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing research, or in reporting research results. Okay, this is my Chinese translation. Okay, so this is one of many definitions. In academia, it's just like we have just always people like to come up with her own ideas. So this is the one I got from the Office of Research Integrity. That's the U.S. government's definition of research misconduct, but this is not the only one. Okay, I'm using this one just because it's easier for me to go through the rest of it. All right. So under this definition of research misconduct, I say that we have three major components for research misconduct. Okay, fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. Okay, sometimes we just put them together as FFP. Okay, if there's only one thing you want to take away from today's seminar after everything is over, I would strongly recommend FFP. Okay, if there's only one thing you remember for today, FFP, because this is the most sensitive area of the entire responsible conduct of research. Anybody got into FFP, I would say, is very likely to get doomed. Okay, be very, very, very careful. Don't have anything to do with FFP. For that reason, I have to be more specific about what are FFP. Okay, the three things. First one, fabrication, is making up data or results and recording or reporting them. The second one, falsification, is manipulating research materials, equipment, or processes, or changing or omitting data or results such that research is not accurately represented in the research record. Okay? Sounds like the first one and second one might, to some of you, sound similar. Fabrication and falsification. Okay? Let me just tell you a very, very easy way to distinguish these two. Fabrication means it comes from nowhere. Something comes from vacuum. Okay, just made up something from nothing. Okay? This falsification means you already got something over there. You just try to manipulate it. You already got some data points. You may want to kind of like just shift around a little bit, this or that. That's called falsification. So falsification is based on something. Fabrication is based on nothing. Okay, coming from vacuum. Okay, that's the major difference between that F and this F. Finally, the plagiarism, the one which is related to that two comic strips, is the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit. Okay, basically just grab something from somebody and without saying you got it from this person. Now, most of us will be familiar with using others' ideas, processes, or results. Some of us, however, may not be fully aware of that using others' words is also considered plagiarism. just using the old words. When you write a paper, for example, if you use somebody's sentence without saying, I got a sentence from somewhere, from that paper, it is a plagiarism. Okay? I would say for those non-English speaking students, we have to be really careful about this. All right. Now, to really make a point, I would like to get IEEE involved. IEEE means Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. Okay, they actually divide plagiarism into 5 levels. Okay, each level means different kinds of violation and different kind of a penalty. Okay, they can impose like for such amount of time you are not allowed to submit papers to IEEE and so on. But this is not our point. Our point is see how to divide this plagiarism into 5 levels. The first level, uncredited verbatim, copy of a full paper. Just copy a whole paper to here. The second one, copy a large portion, up to half of a paper. Third one is less than those, just copying those sentences, paragraphs, or illustrations, individual components, not the whole paper. Okay. Now these 3 seem to be easier to understand. Okay, just grab somebody's work. The 4th one and the 5th one may sound a little tricky. Uncredited improper paraphrasing of pages or paragraphs. This keyword here is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing means you try to use the meaning of that paper, that sentence, without copying the sentence. Okay, you don't copy word by word, but you grab the meaning of it. Maybe just by changing a few words or phrases, or rearranging the original sentence order. This is called paraphrasing. This is still considered a plagiarism. Okay, be very careful about this. Last one, credited verbatim, copying of a major portion of a paper without clear delineation of who did or wrote what. Okay, this one says credited verbatim. It's like you cite the source of one paragraph or something, okay, of a paper you wrote, maybe just introduction something, okay. You write a big paragraph and then you cite a source. But you did not make it clear which part of this paragraph comes from that paper and in what way, without clearly identifying that. This is still considered plagiarism. Okay, let's be very careful about this. Okay, now that'll be the Chinese translation of that previous slide. Okay, so we are not supposed to touch any of those. Okay, otherwise plagiarism. Okay, now having said this, got to emphasize that since we have a very strict definition of research misconduct, okay, whoever commits to research misconduct is subject to severe penalty, okay? Sometimes maybe just a termination of the career. I have to also make sure that you know the boundary. The following is a list of misbehaviors, but we do not consider those to be research misconduct, okay? Not included in the FFP. The first one, simply illegal, improper, or unacceptable behavior. Okay, embezzlement. That's illegal, improper, or unacceptable behavior like lab, sexual harassment. That's a misbehavior. That's not good, but that's not considered to be part of the FFP. Okay, honest error. The second one. That means somebody actually accidentally change some data points because something screwed up. Okay, but it's not out of intention. We don't call this falsification. Okay, honest error, although maybe something's been changed, the process or the results, okay, without intention, without due intention, is not considered to be research misconduct. The third one, disagreement based on honest differences of opinion. Okay, the 2 rival groups are on the same subject. They disagree with each other on almost everything, the approaches, the interpretations, and so on. Okay, they disagree with each other all the way. That's fine, because they are rival groups, but they cannot accuse each other of research misconduct. Simply authorship disputes. If there are more than 2 authors on a paper, maybe there's a dispute on like who should be the first, who can be the second, or how many people are really deserving to be authors. Some people are not allowed, really are not even worth to be on the author list. Okay, authorship dispute. Arguably unethical behavior. Okay, weekend, your advisor calls you and asks you to come to his house because he needs somebody to wash his car. Not a very good profession, I would say, but it's not considered to be research misconduct. Finally, sloppy science. There's always some people, when they maybe doing research, they have put down their iPhone and just always listening to some music and not paying much attention, making small mistakes here or there. Okay, that's called sloppy science, but not considered to be research misconduct. Okay, and these are our Chinese translations of the previous slides. Okay, these are the ones. Okay, we do not condone all these things, but these are not considered to be research misconduct. Okay, this is very important because later I'm going to discuss cases. Okay, cases when an individual is involved FFP. Okay, there will be a formal investigation and then making a verdict. Okay, so we have to know very clearly the boundary of FFP. All right, now there's a let me get into. Okay, let me get into this one. Okay, now we do see a lot of people commit research misconduct. There are some theories to explain why they did this. Okay, career pressure, first to publish, concern about losing a grant, desire to graduate, did not understand professional norms and ethical guidelines, believe they are not being treated fairly. This one is a little tricky. Okay, up to here, they don't understand professional norms and ethical guidelines. We can see that. Some people simply because they don't just feel that they deserve. They should do all these things, so they decide to commit some fraud. Okay? For example, in a lab, a graduate student once worked very hard to come up with all the results. Then somebody may just copy his work, or the professor says, okay, I know you have accomplished a lot, but we have a non-graduate student who is about to graduate. Okay, he really does not have enough for his thesis, so I need to just somehow relocate part of your work to under his credit. Okay, just because he has to graduate. Okay, the student probably would not feel good about this and say that I worked so hard on this, you just take this away. I'm not going to work on this anymore. Okay, why don't I just make up some things? And then I have time for my movies. Okay, do not feel being treated fairly. Finally, self-deception. Okay, that's even trickier than the previous one. Self-deception means, okay, I try to come up with some reason to justify my misbehavior. Okay, there's a digital picture. Okay, I try to maybe just kind of maybe clean up some boundary with gray, kind of a small area, because I want my readers to focus on the central part of the picture. Okay, and I don't want them to be distracted on something else. Something else I consider not very important, so I just covered it in a picture. Okay, that they say that's not very important because that's really not the focus of my paper. Okay, so I changed this digital picture. Okay, this is called self-deception. Try to justify for yourself. Okay, all right. Now these are the Chinese translations. Okay, so these are the reasons we can think of. Maybe there'll be more. Okay, the reason we mention this is because we sometimes see even top-notch researchers